E-bikes are awesome. I think everybody who has ridden one can agree on that, right? But like so many products, having an e-bike that meets your sizing needs can make all the difference between loving it or hating it. So today, armed with mountains of data and the collective knowledge that I and the Electric Bike Report team have acquired after riding and testing over 300 e-bikes, I'm here to share with you our top choices for the best electric bikes for larger and heavier riders in 2024. So welcome back to Electric Bike Report, everybody, or for any first timers, won't you please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. It won't cost you a thing, but it is what makes all the testing we do here possible, and we greatly appreciate the support. Now, I've got a list of 9 bikes for you that we'll be hitting today, plus a few bonus ones sprinkled in just for good measure, but it's important to let you know some of the criteria that helped us to form this list, as well as a breakdown of how we do our testing so that the data will make more sense for you. So first, the bikes that we have today all came with at least a 300-pound payload capacity. Some bikes go a step further to list out optimal rider weight plus the capacity for any additional gear, and I'll shout out the listed rider weight ones as we go. Second, certain bike styles are known for catering better to larger riders. We made a video of the best fat tire e-bikes of the year that you can check out too, since most of those are good options, but today I'm intentionally giving you some style variety across cruisers, commuters, city bikes, EMTBs, and more. Third, the motors on these bikes are all a little bit more on the powerful side. We're talking more watts, more peak power, more torque, or all the above. Take it from a guy that weighs 235 pounds. I've heard people talk about bikes as being super fast or they flew up hills, and I had no such experience. What a bike does for a person weighing $160 and what it does for somebody weighing 100 pounds more will just be different experiences. So we're favoring the more powerful ones here today. Now let's talk about the tests. For our brake test, I personally do this one. I ride each bike we test up to 20 miles per hour, then stop as quickly and safely as I can, and we measure the stopping distance. We do this 3 times per bike and report the average. As of filming, our running average of all e-bikes is just a little bit under 22 feet. Now on the range test, we ride a bike's fully charged battery once at its lowest assist level and once again at its highest assist level. This will help establish a floor and ceiling value of your mileage, but remember, heavier riders might see less distance than what we've gotten. And finally, our hill test is done on our beloved Hellhole Trail. Just like with the brake test, this one is done with the same rider across each bike for consistency. We do this test twice in max pedal assist and throttle if it's got it. The hill is a 1/3 of a mile long with an average 12% grade. It's the sort of thing most people don't take analog bikes up without walking, but e-bikes allow you to remain in the saddle. The average for bikes that are able to complete the test is about 1.5 minutes. Okay, one final note before I stop yapping and we trot out the bikes. If our testing and reviews helped you find an e-bike that's right for you, then please help us out by clicking the links down below if you go to make a purchase. No brand pays to be mentioned here today. These are genuinely our favorite bikes and what we feel are the right tools for the job. But many companies do have affiliate programs that share a small amount of the sale with us at no additional cost to you. It keeps roofs over our heads and keeps us out there testing every e-bike we can get our hands on to help you make informed decisions. So we thank you for your support. Now, let's talk about the top bikes. Much like a truck or an SUV, fat tire e-bikes are just super versatile. And one of our favorites, both for its performance and for its value, is the Aventon Aventure 2. Let's break down what it comes with and what it can do. The Aventure ships as a Class 2 e-bike, but it can adjust to Class 3 speeds in the Aventon app. It has a powerful 750 watt hub motor that uses a torque sensor. We saw a tested range of 31 and 59 miles from its 720 watt-hour battery. We made it up our test hill in an impressive 1 minute and 13 seconds. The brakes registered a really good 18-foot 11-inch stopping distance. The Aventure has a high step or a step-through frame with 2 sizes apiece, so riders from 4'11" all the way up to 6'4" can ride it, and it has a total payload capacity of 400 pounds. As of this recording date, the Aventure 2 has a listed price of $17.99. Okay, so remember how I said fat tire bikes are really versatile? Okay, well thanks to the powerful motor, 4-inch knobby tires, and the suspension fork, you can enjoy your fair share of off-road excursions in OHV areas or campgrounds with the Aventure. It is a blast to ride around with. But it has practical included accessories like fenders, a headlight, and integrated taillights, which function as turn signals too, by the way, that make this a viable commuter. It's a business during the week, party on the weekends kind of situation. The Aventure 2 has great control, and I mean that in two different ways. First, the torque sensor and 8-speed gear range allow for intuitive use. If you push a little harder, you get a little bit more motor, and then when you're pedaling in an easier gear, it puts the bike in a nice cruising speed. And second, sure, the tires are great for off-roading, but the added width helps riders feel stable and planted both on-road and off. The Aventure 2 casts a really wide net in terms of how you can use it and the amount of riders who will fit it. The test performance was awesome, and we think of this as a bike without any glaring weaknesses. It's been one of our top recommended e-bikes across the board, and that goes for the needs of larger riders too. So next up is the Radster Road from Rad Power Bikes. This bike had great test performance, all the features that people tend to ask for from a reliable commuter, and safety innovations we expect other brands will shortly follow too. Okay, so let's cover all your need to knows. So the Radster Road here comes as a Class 2 e-bike, but it can be changed to Class 3 speeds. It has a 750 watt hub motor that cranks out 100 Newton meters of torque, and it runs off of a torque sensor. The battery has a 720 watt hour capacity and went between 36 and 62 miles in our testing, and it also climbed our test hill in 1 minute and 16 seconds. It recorded a 22-foot 1-inch stopping distance in our brake test. It can fit riders from 4'11" up to 6'4" across the 2 available frame sizes, and it includes a max rider weight limit of 290 pounds with a total payload of 320 pounds. The listed price comes in right now at $19.99. So arguably the greatest highlight is the Radster Road's overall ride quality. Now, people are going to interpret that term in different ways. For some, ride quality means comfort, for some it means good handling, and for others, maybe it's just good build quality in general. But really, the Radster Road checks off all the boxes no matter what your definition is. The geometry, suspension fork, tires, and more all keep you comfortable for miles. The 2 different frame sizes are essentially a mid-step and a low step, but it makes them easier to mount without too much flex in the frame thanks to all the tubing in the design. It adds up to a ride that feels nice on the roads and has nice handling characteristics to boot. Its motor is no slouch either. It is Rad's best hill performer to date, but it does a good job of ramping up the acceleration in a way that's fun and easy and more easily controlled by anybody thanks to the torque sensor, or even the throttle too for that matter. Rad also took safety to new heights here with their latest generation of e-bikes. The Radster Road does have UL certifications, but they went the extra mile by introducing potted batteries that better protect the system from overheating issues. You see it a lot in electric cars, but we don't really see this tech very often on e-bikes, so that's a really good step for cycling. The Radster Road is just a solid all-around bike. If you need something with a higher weight rating, or maybe you want something a bit more off-road friendly, then take a look at the Radster Trail instead. It has a lot of the same core components, but it rides on a 3-inch wide mid-fat tire that's a bit more rugged ready for off-roading, and it helps boost the total weight capacity up to 370 pounds. The Ride1Up Revv1 FS is up next. This is one of our favorite looking e-bikes, and I know, looks can sometimes be deceiving, but honestly, this bike rides as awesomely as it looks. It had a great run through all of our testing, and it has a pretty freaking good price tag for all of its features. So there are 2 versions of this bike, the FS or full suspension and the HT or the hardtail. I'll mainly cover the FS here, but I'll throw some things in about the hardtail as well. The Revv1 is a Class 2 e-bike that can be opened up to either Class 3 or unlimited off-road mode settings where it can hit up to 35 miles per hour. It has a 750 watt rear hub motor that it produces 95 Newton meters of torque, and it runs off of a cadence sensor. Now the mileage from our range test was 36 to 52 miles from the 780 watt hour battery, and there is an option to add a second battery. Its max assist time in our hill test was a speedy 1 minute flat. The brake test average was a nice 19-foot 2-inch result, and the bike fits riders between 5'2" up to 6'4" and can hold up to 400 pounds. And finally, the FS is available for $22.95, or you can look at the hardtail, which starts at $17.95. Now, I don't know what impression you get when you look at it, but to me, this thing looks purpose-built for speed, and trust me, it rides like it. The off-road mode has you flying like a bat out of hell, and it's tons of fun. Just make sure to ride that responsibly where it's permitted. And even sticking to speeds within the class system, the Revv1 just performs and feels great. The dual crown suspension with 120mm travel up front is nice, as is the rear shock and extra padded saddle. It is just bar none one of the most comfortable e-bikes around. The bike's weight here is a plus. It's hefty at over 90 pounds, but the low center of gravity, courtesy of those 20 by 4 inch wide tires, I just love how it handles, especially at speed. And lastly, the moto styling isn't all flash and no substance. This FS model comes with a massive headlight, fenders, and turn signals, but you can expand its use with a center cage, a rack, or passenger kit add-ons. Just know that moto-style e-bikes aren't known for a comfortable pedal experience. The way they're built encourages heavy throttle usage, so if that's not a deterrent for you, the Rev1 makes a great option for those that fit it and have the budget for it. And if the price tag feels a bit out of your reach, the Rev1 HT is worth a look. It lacks rear suspension and a few other features will change, but the core elements of fun, fast, and awesome looking are all still there for $500 less. If you value options in your e-bike, like the ability to pick the feel, performance, or color of your ride, then this next bike might be the one for you. The electric bike company Model R features a large frame, a strong motor, and practically limitless customization at your fingertips. Now, a lot can change on the Model R, but I'll let you know some of the basics as well as what ours was equipped with. The Model R comes as a Class 2 e-bike, but can be unlocked to Class 3 speeds. It has a 750 watt rear hub motor with 60 Newton meters of torque and includes your choice of either a cadence or a torque sensor. Ours was a cadence sensor. Our tested range on this bike was between 17 and 41 miles on the single 576 watt-hour battery option, but you can expand that capacity up to 1,440 watt-hours. It reached the top of our test hill in 1 minute and 32 seconds, and even though this bike weighs 78 pounds, it had a really impressive average stopping distance of 19 feet and 9 inches. It fits riders from 5 feet tall all the way up to 6 foot 10 inches, depending on how you configure it, and it has a max weight capacity of 420 pounds. The Model R starts at a list price of $17.99, but goes up from there depending on how you choose to customize it. So the Model R can be outfitted for smaller or larger riders alike, but with its large frame, solid motor power, and the standard 4-piston brakes, it feels like a no-brainer base package for building your own custom e-bike if you're a larger rider. Now, some of those options include picking your handlebar style, the saddle, gearing, if you want a suspension seat post, and even the tires. These decisions will be key in determining what the general ride comfort feels like and how aggressive or relaxed you want it to be. Electric Bike Company is perhaps most famous for its color options. There are several base options to pick from, even more upgraded ones for an additional cost, or you can even send them the color or colors plural that you want, and they can put that on the frame, fork, fenders, baskets, and more. Even if you are the type that gets overwhelmed by having too many options, they usually have a few different colorways that they're promoting, or even tricked out packages for cargo carrying or riding with your kid too. You'll get something unique and hassle-free. Fans of supporting local will love how heavily involved their process is here in the US. All that customization could only be achieved stateside, and along with it comes serious customer service advantages as well. That extends to their industry-leading 10-year frame and motor warranty with a 2-year battery warranty. And the fact that they inspect and ship these bikes nearly fully assembled is a major plus. If you want something ultra creative, or you want to give somebody a seriously awesome gift, Electric Bike Company is what first comes to my mind. The Model R just happens to take care of larger riders the best, but they have other frame options to pick from too. So if for no other reason than just for fun, try clicking the Electric Bike Company link in the video description to see what kind of bike you can build. Okay, I'm a guy who appreciates bells and whistles. I like lots of gadgets and features. And if that sounds like you too, then you'll be a fan of the Velotric Discover too. It has a surprising amount of quality features along with its very comfortable ride. The Discover 2 is a Class 2 e-bike that adjusts up to Class 3 speeds as well. The motor is a 750 watt, 75 Newton meters of torque rear hub motor. The range test saw a really good 34 to 86 miles of use out of its 706 watt-hour battery. And our hill test results reached the top in 1 minute and 44 seconds. The brakes posted a nice 21 foot 2 inch stopping distance, and there are 2 different frames that'll cover riders from 4'11" all the way up to 6'4", and it has a mighty hefty 440 pound total payload capacity. And this total package comes with a surprisingly low price tag of just $16.99. All right, so if we're talking what's worth getting excited over, let's first start with comfort. This is one of those bikes that blends together some commuter, city, and cruiser elements, but its comfort features just stand out a lot. It has a nice wide and cushy saddle, and the Dutch-style handlebars allow for an upright ride that is very easy on the rider. The tires and fork add to the package, just making it the type of bike you feel you could ride for hours on end. And I also told you it has features galore, right? Okay, well, it's got some things that we've mentioned already on other bikes, like turn signals and a color display, but it also adds in a cruise control mode from the motor, a MIK compatible cargo rack, Apple Find My built into the frame, a 3-amp fast charger, and a very detailed app. Now when I say detailed, I mean that app has tons of customization. I'm talking like 15 different programmable assist levels here. You don't have to play with it if you don't want to, but more control is always a nice option to have. This bike will be great for people with greater comfort needs or who just appreciate the versatility. The motor here is strong and powerful, but fairly tame and controlled too, so it provides really nice and predictable usage across every mile. There might not be a single more impressive test performer than the Specialized Globe Haul ST. This bike sets the bar for adaptability too though, as it is a true one-size-fits-all frame that can fit the widest range of rider heights, meaning nearly everybody can ride it. All right, so here is the rundown. The Haul ST is a Class 3 e-bike with an optional throttle for Class 2. It has a 700 watt hub motor with a torque sensor. Our tested range was 38 to 54 miles on its 772 watt-hour battery. It had a blazing max assist hill climb time of 1 minute flat. It was a top tier brake test performer coming in at 15 feet 9 inches, and it truly fits a ridiculous range of riders. People between 4'5" up to 6'4" can ride its one available frame size, and it has a mighty weight capacity of 419 pounds. And as of today, it is selling for $2,800. Okay, so this is a bike where the data just kind of speaks for itself. This bike is a top 5 in our brake testing, a top 5 in our hill testing, and a top 10 in range testing for a battery around this size. Quick reminder, we have tested literally hundreds of e-bikes. It is nuts to be tops in all the categories. The unique frame is crazy adaptable, as I mentioned. When I review bikes, I remind people that height ranges aren't the best for people who are on either end, but this thing is the exception. It was great for our tallest 6'5" rider and for our shortest 5'3" rider. And I know it looks kind of small, but it's built like a tank. This is a short tail cargo bike after all, so you can really load up this 419 pound payload capacity when you add on some accessories. Now we have ridden it with 4 hard shell panniers, and neither the motor or handling performance really seem to suffer under all that weight. And speaking of the motor, this one is absolutely killer. All torque sensors have a little bit of a learning curve, and I think this one took me longer than most to sync up with, but once I figured out the right cadence, it became one of my favorite hub motors of all time. It's speedy, it's powerful, manageable, whatever you're looking for, I think it's got it. Utility bikes are the bike style we think of as the most adaptable to anybody. So long as you have the budget, this is a bike I'd recommend to anybody for nearly any use. Some riders stand to benefit more from 3 wheels than from 2. So our favorite trike for larger riders is the Lectric XP Trike. This brand tends to find ways to deliver the best bang for your buck performance across various categories, and that rings true for their value-driven trike. All right, so I'll take you through a quick rundown of the XP Trike specs and test performance. It's a Class 2 electric trike with a throttle and pedal assist up to about 13.5 miles per hour. It has a 500 watt hub motor that's actually mounted between the rear wheels, and it uses a cadence sensor. It has a 672 watt-hour battery that gave us 40 and 53.5 miles in our range testing, but it is worth pointing out that was done in the bike's beginner mode that slows things down just a little bit. The XP Trike climbed Hellhole in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Its average stopping distance in our brake test was 13 feet 2 inches, but remember that's from about 13-ish miles per hour instead of 20 like the others. It is made for riders from 4'10" up to 6'4", and it has a total payload capacity of 415 pounds. And at the time of this filming, the XP Trike's price is listed as $14.99. Trike riders will love the value here. Its battery is larger than we typically see on trikes, it has lights, it has different speed limits for the throttle, and it's the only trike that we have tested at this point with hydraulic disc brakes. So again, they load it up with features for the dollar that you're paying. We also really like Lectric's approach with the centrally mounted hub motor. It sends power to both of the rear wheels for really good traction, and it's about as close to a mid-drive as you can get without, well, you know, running up the cost by using an actual mid-drive. It was a pretty clever trick of engineering on their part. And for convenience, the XP Trike has a folding design that makes it pretty easy to transport. It's the type of thing we've gotten into a smaller hatchback. It's not light at over 80 pounds, so you'll want a second pair of hands, but we're yet to call any electric trike light. When we originally tested this trike, our hill tester Justin called it the little engine that could. We loaded this thing up with an additional 110 pounds of cargo and took it up Hellhole again, and it kept climbing slowly and steadily to the top. Now, we don't actually want to set any sort of speed record on trikes, we just want 0 quit in their game, and that fit the XP Trike to a T. If you have any type of mobility or balance issues, you can still enjoy hitting the roads by swapping out a bike for a trike. The XP Trike has a great blend of power, features, and a price tag that won't break the bank. Big and tall riders often like big and tall things. Go figure. Well, the Himiway D5 Zebra is a big bike with a long wheelbase, massive tires, and a big old battery to keep it riding a long ways. So we are mid-review on this one right now, and I'm missing some data, but I'll share the details that we've gotten so far. The Himiway Zebra D5 comes as a Class 2 e-bike. It features a 750 watt hub motor that has 86 Newton meters of max torque. Our test bike uses a torque sensor, but you can get a cadence sensor option if you prefer. It had a 54 to 70 mile range test result off its 960 watt hour battery. We will update the text on the screen if we get the hill test result done in time, but I am expecting some pretty good results here. The brake test scored a 23 foot 7-inch stopping distance. There is a high step or a step through frame available that'll cover riders from 5'1" up to 6'5", and it has a max weight rating of 400 pounds. The torque sensor is available for $16.99, and the cadence sensor option is going for $14.99. All right, so I already said we haven't finished reviewing it yet, but here it is on this list. Why is that? Okay, well, for starters, Himiway has always done a good job delivering bikes I think of as people movers. Each of their bikes are rated for 400 pounds, they're known for powerful motors, and they always spec large batteries since they get that with great power comes, well, great power needs. The 54-mile floor of the range test is a top 3 result that we have ever recorded off of just one battery. For a bike that is this large and heavy, that is pretty awesome. This is also a bike that just feels big. As a bigger guy myself, sometimes I feel out of place on smaller bikes, even if they actually perform fine. That's not the case here. Big tires, a larger than most wheelbase, just a thick frame in general, heck, even the saddle is super thick. They just feel confidence inspiring. Everything feels large in a refreshing way. The big tires here will provide some nice versatility. You can ride paved and unpaved areas alike. I think the bike will best be suited for taller individuals, but the ST frame has promise for those on the shorter end of the spectrum too. Himiway is a brand I think of as having come a long way from a cult following to making some seriously cool e-bikes with intriguing performance and design. The D5 Zebra is one of their best values that larger riders should be looking into. Last but certainly not least, we have the Aventon Ramblas. It's a serious contender for one of the best value hardtail EMTBs around, but what landed them a spot on this list was their custom motor that blasts a lot of torque and helps just about anybody climb hills. All right, so to hit all the main details on the Ramblas, it is a Class 1 EMTB. It has a 250 watt mid-drive motor that peaks at 750 watts, and it comes with a full power 100 Newton meters of torque. And as you'd expect, it runs off of a torque sensor. In our range test, we got a ridiculous result of 47.5 miles on max assist and 107.4 miles on min assist from the 706 watt hour battery. That 107 mile result is one of our longest ever. It made it up hellhole with our 3rd fastest time for a mid-drive motor in 1 minute and 16 seconds. It fits riders from 5'1" up to 6'5" across the 4 different frame size options and is rated for a max of 300 pounds. And it is currently underpriced and overvalued at just a crazy $26.99. Seriously though, the value of the Ramblas is just freaking impressive. I can't say that enough. It has a lot of good parts, but let's start with the motor. Many EMTB motors have something in the 60 to 90 Newton meters of torque range, but this thing went all the way to triple digits at 100. That has great benefit for heavier riders as it helps you climb up some seriously steep hills. And since Aventon custom made this motor in a partnership with the brand GoBow, you can actually tailor the power output settings in the Aventon app so that it meets your riding preference. Now from a general value sense, the Ramblas cut no corners. You get a SRAM Eagle 12-speed drivetrain, SRAM 4-piston brakes, a RockShox forks with 130 millimeters of travel, and Maxxis Recon tires. You can find a lot of EMTBs under $3,000, but they probably aren't carrying the same prestigious names on all the parts or offering 4 different frame sizes to pick from. The one and only potential drawback for heavier riders would be the fork. Now performance-wise, it is great, but there is no compression adjustment. It was just about spot on for what I would want in terms of sag, and again, I'm 235 pounds, but riders above the 245 or 250 mark might have more sag than they'd like, so upgrading the fork might be worth a look down the line. But on a final note, let's circle back to some of those tests. It's a top 5 all-time range test and a top 3 hill climber for mid-drive motors. I mean, it's got power and stamina, like what more could you really hope for? The Ramblas makes a great bike for hardtail fans wanting their first EMTB, or really anybody looking at exploring mountain biking for the first time for that matter. Even experienced mountain bikers will find something to love here. It is just a sleek and fun ride. Okay, so before we wrap things up, we do want to shout out a couple of awesome bikes that we've ridden but haven't brought in for all the standardized tests yet. In the world of EMTBs, there is no shortage of options, so here's 2 more worth taking a look at. The Trek rail line is pretty rad and has a lot to love about it. Both their alloy and carbon bikes are rated up to 300 pounds, and they definitely have the dialed in feel you'd expect from one of the biggest names in cycling. The rail comes with the Bosch Performance CX motor. There are tons of different configurations on their website, so I won't try for all of the details, but we view the Gen 4 model as the sweet spot for our official recommendation. And then you can of course pick the one that aligns with your budget and needs from there. Those Bosch motors have really good punch and will be helpful for larger riders. And if you're willing to take out a second mortgage on your house, you can even get the top of the line Trek rail that features the Bosch race motor. The Rail 9.9 model that has that motor will likely make you the envy of all the trail too, with its premium tech. And finally, when it comes to EMTBs, you don't really expect to see a step-through frame, as the trade-offs don't usually translate well to mountain biking. But Bulls was not messing around when they made the Copperhead Evo HD 750 Wave, as it rides really, really well. It probably has the lowest step-over height of any EMTB at just over 19 inches, and it is able to carry 330 pounds on any of its 4 frame sizes that fit riders from 5'4" up to 6'7". This is no slap-together design just to get headline buzz for having a step-through EMTB either. It has the Bosch Performance Line CX Smart System, Shimano Diore 10-speed, Tektro Gemini 4-piston brakes, and Bull's own Litro 120mm air fork. Now, we've seen this thing in action for larger riders, and it can do some serious work, so take a look at it if you haven't seen it before. All right, so that's gonna do it for this list. If you want more details, you can check out the full reviews back at our website. And again, if you see one that you wanna buy, it helps us out if you purchase one after clicking the link in our video description. We can't tell you enough how much the support means to us. If you have any questions on these bikes or about one you didn't see here, let us know in the comments. That's all for now. I'm Griffin with Electric Bike Report, and these were the top e-bikes for larger riders.